Howdy. The Holy Land is more than a place in the Middle East. It serves as an important metaphor in American Protestantism that represents salvation. In the 19th century, the definition of salvation diverged between white and African American Christians. In exploring the onset of evangelicalism and the use of song, Wayfaring Strangers serves as a prominent reminder of the differences in black and white worship. The song, with two different versions depending on the racial tradition, reveals fundamentally separate meanings of salvation amongst these communities, even through the shared use of Holy Land imagery. The rise of evangelicalism in the late 18th century gave way to new means of worship. Historian Thomas J. Little argues that its roots began in South Carolina during the 1720s. Many revolted against the looming presence of the English-controlled Anglican Church due to its strong effort to convert slaves to Christianity. This was an issue for those who worried how they could control their means of labor. In short, evangelicalism had been born out of a need for independence and a need for labor. Evangelicalism came with moral reform and new practices, especially revival. Revival can have complicated connotations, but in essence, it is the restoration of Protestant practices. A way this was achieved among Protestant whites was through camp meetings. Reverend A.P. Mead's Manna in the Wilderness from 1859 is a wealthy account of Methodist camp meeting culture, with personal accounts of his experience at the Wyoming camp meeting. Mead documents excitement, community-driven faith, and most notably, songs. What's most prevalent in these songs, lyrically, is a figurative tie to the Holy Land. While song titles or music notation are not documented by Mead, lyrical examples include "On Jordan's stormy banks we stand, and cast our wishful eyes, to Canaan's fair and happy land, where our possession lies," and "We're going home, we've had visions bright, of that Holy Land, that world of light." Music is certainly not a new addition to white Christian worship, but the folk aspect of these camp meetings provided a new dimension to musical worship in its content and performance. After all, the songs in modern hymn books were originally songs performed in or inspired by these camp revivals. For these Christians, Holy Land symbolism meant enlightening the community, returning home to God in heaven as a wandering people. African Americans had a different approach with religious folk music. In his 1971 essay titled "The Spiritual, Soul of Black Religion," Leroy Moore Jr. describes the spiritual as, quote, "the product of Christian piety and the slave experience," unquote. By the 19th century, African Americans had become accustomed to Christianity either through force or through immersion, and it reflected in their culture of song. W.E.B. Du Bois is the earliest of scholarship to note the double meaning of black spirituals. In his Souls of Black Folk, 1903, he describes how spirituals represented suffering and an aspiration for freedom. They were, quote, "distinctly sorrowful," unquote. One prominent spiritual from circa 1850, "A Band Arisen," shows these themes in its lyrics. Quote, "How long am I wander here, when I'm going to enter the New Jerusalem," unquote. The purpose of the Holy Land in this music is a representation of salvation from suffering and torment towards freedom. The purpose of the Holy Land in this music is a representation of salvation from suffering and torment towards freedom. These words are often used by white Protestants in a poetic sense, but for African Americans, these phrases were literal. The reason for this exposition is to provide you, the audience, with the historical and cultural insight needed to analyze two versions of one of America's most well-known folk songs, Wayfaring Stranger. This song has a long-standing presence in folk music, arguably originating in the 1700s as a poem. Different versions have developed independently between black and white hymnody through the 19th century. In his 1933 book, White Spirituals in Southern Uplands, songcatcher George Poland Jackson notates two versions of the song. The lyrics are of English origin, but the melody has significant differences between black and white tradition. I will perform both versions of this song using my voice and the fiddle, with only minor artistic variation. While listening, note the melodic differences. I am a poor wayfaring stranger, while traveling through this world of woe. I'm going there to see my Father. I'm going there no more. Now that you've heard both versions, I will argue that the reason for melodical differences is reflective of the culture it's being performed in. Its lyrical content is nearly identical, but each melody has a distinct attitude. The version provides a much more uplifting chorus, as in the part mentioning that "I'm going there." The black version maintains the woeful darkness of the verse into the chorus. These two versions are two instances of a song that have metamorphized through separate traditions through multiple decades and could explain why the change is so drastic. However, tradition is an extension of the people it represents. The differences in this song are suggestive of what the Holy Land represents for blacks as opposed to whites. For a white Protestant, being a wayfaring pilgrim or a stranger represents being a lost soul. It is a song about journey towards redemption so their soul can return home after death. For an African American, the wayfaring stranger is the embodiment of their cultural identity, an unwelcome wanderer who is desperate for freedom and salvation. The religious language represented the harsher reality for African Americans in the 19th century.